of things that are not intuitive to them or obvious is always a benefit. I've had a fairly large referral base of people who chose non-traditional means for their cancer treatment. And so I think anytime you start to become associated in a society or an environment as somebody who is very comfortable seeing people who are not all following standard medical treatment, and I would be more than happy to explain to them this is not the standard of care. But I'm not going to say if it's not my way, it's the highway. I want to be there for people. And so I think had I had more transgendered folks and people became aware of that, I suspect that would have grown as well. But it was just one of those things that just didn't occur in my career.
Did your approach for treatment of Jacob change once you found out that he was transgender?
Nope, not one bit. I've always wanted to make sure that I help patients find what's the acceptable and best treatment for them. Explain the science, explain the standards of care. But I'm a big believer that it's ultimately that patient's choice and decision. So I have people who I didn't think were a great lumpectomy or breast conservation candidate, but that's what was most important to them. And so we would work our way through that. I had patients who opted for mastectomy that quite honestly were excellent breast conservation candidates. But that's not what they wanted, and that's not what they were going to be comfortable with. And it doesn't do me any good to say to somebody, you don't need to be that aggressive if they're going to worry about that. So the same is true with Jacob. It's you need to find what's going to make you happy and comfortable. If I can help facilitate that, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
His case was very complicated. We watched him die a couple of times. You're obviously very skilled at what you do, and you've been doing this for a long time. And hindsight is everything. Is there something looking back now that you would have told him to do differently? Complicated question, I know.
Yeah, hindsight's always 20/20. I think the original surgeon who did his first surgery did what would any of us would have done. I would not second guess that and say, oh, I would have done a better job and he never would have had his mediastinal recurrence. I think that was kind of the nature of the beast with your particular disease. And I've had patients who I've done the exact same thing for and unfortunately have gotten a similar type of local recurrence. And I think part of that is the individual person's tumor, whether or not they're compliant with or take the medications that we hope will decrease the recurrence of what I sometimes refer to as the weeds, and whether or not radiation therapy is beneficial or not in some of the circumstances. And we're constantly learning, and the standards change. I think what's a testament to Jacob's strength is the fact that he came through that later surgery. And I had the easy part. The magicians there were Dr. Cross and Dr. Herman. These guys reconstructing your chest was amazing.
Bionic man.
Yeah. So, I've learned a long time ago that you learn from everybody's experience, but not a big believer in second guessing other people. Second guess myself all the time, but I'm not a big believer in second guessing others.
Wow. Jacob, do you have more questions, my friend?
I don't know. Did we hit them all?
I think not specifically word for word on everyone, but
okay.
Pretty much the majority of them. There.
I'm just doing an edit.
An edit. Pause.
I
feel like
that's really like everything. Anything that I would want to ask right now is just anything that maybe you and I feel like we would need in the way of closure of this chapter of it
I
before
want
we
you
go.
to go out and keep kicking butt,
Yeah.
young man, right? Take no prisoners. Do not let this disease get the best of you, and you have done an amazing job in that. Your attitude's incredible, and I am a big believer that attitude is a big part of it. It's that part of the equation that is incredibly meaningful, but we do not know how to measure it, other than there are those of us who believe it exists and other people who poo-poo that stuff. But I think there are too many things in life that are not explainable, that make you realize that there are forces that we can't explain, but are definitely there. And so get them all on your side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I sure will. I'm planning on taking this and hopefully using it as a piece to help other people realize that even when you're stage 4 and you can see wonderful doctors like this that tell you we'll do our best, and like Muazzam said, we'll help you make it another 2 to 5 years, and here I am 2.5 years later with NED, no evidence of disease.
Looking great.
That it's important to just trust the people that you're working with and be your own advocate. And
be your own advocate is huge, and recognize that if we weren't constantly pushing the envelopes, then we'd still be doing things that we were doing 200 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Things change, and people help us recognize where we can push those envelopes by being a part of their own solution.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I always worry. I don't worry about the patients who have bad disease but great personalities, right? Because ultimately, it's all going to be okay. We can't all predict what it's going to be, but those people who have great attitudes are going to make the absolute best out of every day they have, regardless of whether or not it's 2 days or 20,000 days, right? The patients I worry about are the ones that come in who feel like it's all doomed, and how could this have happened to them? And nobody deserves this disease.
Right.
So when they're already down in the dumps, and you get down. I mean, it's not to say that you're not going to get down, but it's the difference between get down and not be able to see that there's a light versus people that say, I can see that, and I'm going to figure out how, with help, to come out of the other end of this despair. Those are the people who do better.
Well, if it hadn't have been for you and the confidence that you've given me, I don't know that I would have. My family was literally telling me how I should die and how it was my fault. And I think that I just remember you coming in and checking up on me too. I just remember how everybody responded here. And I'm getting my tears now. But I just wanted to thank you for everything that you've been in my life. And thank you for this. This has been a beautiful gift for me.
You're welcome.
And it's poignant with the eclipses and the retrogrades.
It
feels like soul business to me, Dr. Jody. It does. I wish you some peace in your retirement to do all the things that you've put off for yourself. Well, I hope you get to, and I'm going to be thinking about you and singing your praises all the time.
Thank you very much for the bracelet. It's beautiful. It's a constant reminder of your individuality and your love of life. And I am thrilled that I happen to be a part of helping you find your way to get there so that you can smile like that more and more all the time.
Thank you. All right, that's all I got.
Okay, last question.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I got two questions.
Oh,
I got two questions. One, what's next?
What's next?
Yeah.
Whew, I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to do a little sailing and spend more time in the mountains and do some traveling, more time with friends and family. Looking forward to sunrises and sunsets besides being behind the dashboard of the car, coming to or from a hospital, or working on paperwork and stuff like that. So definitely doing some more traveling. I'm going to read a whole lot of books that I've neglected. Going to work a little bit on some of the hobbies. I love to draw and things like that. I'm going to see if I can't become a little bit more proficient than just being a doodler. And maybe a little wood carving, and we'll see. probably get mouthy about something in the future about policy, and I'll give that one a little bit of a break for a short period.
Yeah.
And this guy, of course, this is the last thing now. This guy is dragging me to Ecuador here in the next couple of years, and will you come visit us in Ecuador?
You bet.
Because you have to do that.
Yeah, whereabouts in Ecuador?
I'm not sure.
We're not there yet.
I met some brokers that I would like to go visit because when I pull some of what I've been building in my cryptocurrency investments, that is about to extricate me from the massive BS that tried to collapse on my head before. I'm going to buy some hectares there.
Nice.
I'm looking for something where I can start a sustainable place to live and go practice some healing arts that I've learned over the past 15 years as I've been helping myself escape death.
There you go. I've been to Quito, Ecuador. It's a fascinating city. It's been about 20 years. But it snakes through the valley there, right? People drive like maniacs on the roads.
It's our place.
They are such joy, and they're just, wonderful. And Ecuador, as you know, is very diverse place, right? About the size of the state of Colorado, but it's got every environment. Yeah.
I'm going to be mining silver.
Excellent.
Hopefully. Yeah. We'll have to stay in touch on that.
Yes, we will stay in touch.
Yeah.
And you guys want one last hug on
I
camera?
would love a huge hug. And if I can preserve it entirely.
Right.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I love you. I love you too. You've been great. An inspiration in lots of ways.
Oh.